Shalom, Israel. Shalom. Hey, Most High in Christ bless. Welcome to the noon class, IUIC. My name is Captain Shem, for those of you who may not know me. And today we're going to go back to the basics. In this truth, many times we come in this truth after 3-4 years. We may, it's not quite as exciting because, hey, I'm an Israelite. Rah! Christ is black. Moses is black. You know, we're not Negroes anymore. We're not Hispanics anymore. And we can lose the zeal and the motivation we may have had when we first came in. And one of the things that is a stumbling block for a lot of us in this truth is a spirit of malice, which you're going to find today in the class. Malice is an umbrella for sin, okay? And then you're going to find that correction. When you get correction, many times you brothers and you sisters, you run. You can't deal with the fire. That's your trial. All right, so let's start and open up with, by the way, shout out to ATL. Atlanta has excellent hospitality. Actually, side note real quick. This is not in the script, Sarai. Do me a favor. Get me Sirach 38 real quick. I got to go here. I'm going to attempt to be funny. Some of our brothers and sisters in the congregation have decided to prepare for the famine in very creative ways. They're storing additional calories around their midsections and also backs, which is excellent for preparing for the famine for long-term starvation, because you may live an additional 6 months. So I want to give you a shout out for you famine preparers. And anyway, it's a terrible joke. Sirach 38 verse 4.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 38 verse 4.
Hey, those of you who got it, right? Because I can't come on here and say, well, I want to call you all a bunch of, but I'm not going to do that. Read.
The Lord hath created medicines out of the earth.
So to shout out to Deacon Malachi, a.k.a. Deacon Malaphiah. The brother is a wise man, and he said something on the New Moon class that made me incredibly happy. You go back and watch that class. He talked about health, and we have to be accountable, especially as a leader. You men who are aspiring to be soldiers and leaders in Israel, you need to take care of your health. So I'm going to take a quick couple of scriptures to deal with health and encourage all of you to release your stored calories, Read that, Sirach 38, verse 4.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 38, verse 4. The Lord hath created medicines out of the earth.
So what are the medicines that the Lord created out of the ground of the earth? How about kale? How about spinach? How about broccoli, ginger, turmeric? These are things that we should be putting in our bodies. Not a Pop-Tart, a Twinkie, and other processed foods. Not Whataburger. Not Popeyes. Does it taste good? Yes, it tastes good. But when they know you by your first name, oh, here comes Sharonda. They know who you are, and they know you by your car. They didn't see your face. Sharonda again, she's getting number 5. That's an example. The best name I got was Sharonda, the first name that came to me. I had one of my sisters, she lived in New York City, Dave. Her name was Lakeisha. So imagine her going for a job interview. Miss Lakeisha Jenkins, that's the blackest name you could get, right? Anyways, Lakeisha, maybe she'll repent. All right. A tough crowd in Atlanta, real tough crowd. Read it again.
The Lord hath created medicines out of the earth.
Come on.
And he that is wise.
So we as the Israelites, we have to be wise. Meaning what? You are going to understand that the wisdom of eating and health comes from the scriptures. If you want to get healthy, eat less of processed foods and other disgusting foods that make you store calories, and do what? Eat your vegetables, have your herbs, have your fruits, and eat in moderation. Read it one more time, and then I'm going to get into the class. Read on.
And he that is wise
Uh-huh.
will not abhor them.
So, there's a thought that you can have an inverse thought, right? So if you say that if he that is wise will not abhor them, so what is the inverse of that? If you're not wise, it's the opposite. And that's why you have so many problems. That's why we have strokes and heart attacks in the body. That's why we have diabetes 2 in the body. That's why we have pre-diabetes 2 in the body. And all that can be reversed and prevented. But we are that rebellious nation who rebels against the words of the one true God. Especially you've been hearing it for 7 years. Notice I'm pointing over here, right? You want to know I'm pointing over here? I don't want to get an email. I can get on the brothers. I'm not going to say anything about the sisters. Except that some of them are portly princesses that should do a better job. But you brothers, you got to fix it first. Bishop always say, Nathaniel Bishop always say, you got to take the bullets out the gun, right? We got a lot of fat guns. You take the fat bullets out before we can do anything with the women. You get it? It's all I got right now. It's what? It's noon. That's all I got. All right. Read it again.
The Lord hath created medicines out of the earth.
Medicines out of the earth. Ginger, kale, raspberries, blackberries, turmeric, thyme, anise, all these different spices and foods you should be eating. I don't care how old you are. You can fix it too. All right? Yeah, look. Especially you old brothers that are overweight. You got to fix that. You got to fix it. And you can do it. You just have to apply. Read.
And he that is wise,
come on,
will not abhor them.
Meaning you're not going to hate when God tells you these things. Now, get me eat in moderation. It just came to me. I'm sorry. Eat in moderation. Yes. It's Sirach 31, maybe 31. And we're going to get right into the topic. So, shout out again to ATL. All praise to the Most High. I remember when Deacon Malachi was a captain at the time, and he moved down here, and Atlanta was extremely small, and I am so impressed and just blown away at the level of organization, hospitality, and just it's a wonderful place to be. All praise to the Most High for that, all praises, absolutely. Can we get that the scripture?
Ecclesiasticus chapter 31, verse 19.
Yes, I'm going to leave it at this. So listen, you brothers and you sisters that are preparing for the famine by storing additional surplus of calories around your midsection backs, this is for you. Read.
A very little is sufficient for a man well nurtured.
No, I eat 5 times a day a truckload of food. Read it again.
A very little is sufficient for a man well nurtured.
And that's what we're going to find, brothers. It starts with the men. We have to fix our health first with the men, and guess what? The women will fall in line. You're going to sit there and tell a sister she can't be overweight, and you 150 pounds. You a hypocrite. When you fix you, then we can deal with that side of the room. I'm going to leave it at that. Read on.
And he fetcheth not his wind.
No wonder why you always burping and passing gas, right? Read on.
Short upon his bed.
Right, and that's another thing he talks about, but your sleep is affected. A lot of you need 17 minutes just to get out of bed. You should be jumping out of bed. Okay, read.
Sound sleep.
Here go, read.
Cometh of moderate eating.
So sound sleep. You want to improve your sleep, brothers? Eat moderately. Link that with the precept, Sirach 38:4. The Lord made it medicine, so eat moderately most of the things that come from the ground. You know that, all you know that, but why don't you do that? You want to know why? Because you have not been touched yet. As soon as you get touched, or someone that you love gets touched, then you're going to say, I should have listened. It's not a game. It's a game until it becomes real. So fix it now, y'all. Fix it now. All right, we're going to jump into the topic. Thank you for being patient with me. Let's start first with 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7 and 8. So the name of the topic, can we put that up there? I'm getting old, man. I looked at myself and I got bags under my eye. I'm getting old. I'm almost, look, I'm going bald. Don't laugh, because I don't spend a lot of money on shampoo and conditioner. I save money. This system's serious as hell. Anyway, read that. I don't care. I'll laugh at myself. Come on.
1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7.
Come on.
Purge out, therefore, the old leaven.
Can we get the thumbnail of? I was looking at the Okay. So I'm focused on the title. So it says the milk for malice and the milk of correction. So the word for and of are important. So as we go through this lesson, the milk for malice and the milk of correction. Our humbling walk in this truth. It's going to be a very basic class. It's going to be a review class. Well, I know these scriptures. Well, you need them. You need them. I need them. 1 Corinthians 5 and 7.
Verse 7. Purge out, therefore, the old leaven.
So we have to purge out, therefore, the old leaven. Brothers, I got to be interactive. So I need a little bit of back and forth. What is the main ingredient when one makes bread? What is the main ingredient? Or right, yeast, but it's flour, right? And some flours have yeast and some don't have yeast. You with me? So I want you to track that as we're going through. Read it again.
Purge out, therefore, the old leaven.
Purge out, therefore, the old leaven. So God is using what? He's using an analogy. He's using the analogy of the main ingredient that you make what with? Bread with. And he's going to make an analogy, and he's going to make us understand. Read on.
That ye may be a new lump.
So hold up. I'm not bread. You not bread. So he's telling us that the main ingredient that's within you, he's going to compare it to something. And he's using bread as an analogy. You with me? You all have heard this before. Read on.
As ye are unleavened.
How you could be unleavened? You made of cartilage, sinews, a skeletal system, a nervous system, a digestive system, a lymphatic system. That's what you're made of. You're not made out of bread and whatever else these women put in bread. I don't know what they put in it. Right? Yeast, eggs, right. Well, you should put stevia, not sugar in there. That's the prize why these men are that the way, because you keep putting sugar in the bread. It does make it taste good. Read on.
For even Christ, our Passover, is sacrificed for us.
Now read it again, verse 7.
Verse 7.
I remember Bishop Yawasop years ago. Really taught us in IUIC. You don't gotta say, I have a bunch of scriptures today, right? It's not how many scriptures you have. It's how much that we bring the understanding. You understand? So read it again.
1 Corinthians 5 and 7. Purge out, therefore, the old leaven.
So he's talking about us. We have to purge out the leaven. Well, I'm not a box of bread. I got to get this. This main ingredient has got to come out of me. Read on.
That ye may be a new lump.
So we got to become new loaves of bread, new lumps. Okay, read on.
As ye are unleavened.
Okay.
For even Christ our Passover is sacrificed for us.
So Christ sacrificed himself for the nation of Israel. Now, did we know, did Jesus Christ sin? No, he did not. Was he tempted to sin? So the sin was in his mind, right? He was our example. He removed the leaven out of his body. So we are that example. He did it. We can do it. He was tempted at every point. Remember, at one point, what did he do? Remember, right before he was on the cross, what he did? He said, Father, take this cup from me. Right? So he was tempted to do what? To give in. And in Hebrews, he was tempted at all points. He was tempted with women. He was tempted to beat a brother down and say some dumb stuff to him. He had all the same things we had, right? And you know that. I know that. And I'm just getting warmed up. Read.
Verse 8. Therefore, let us keep the feast, not with old leaven.
So again, this is talking about us having ingredients in us. That's why the Christian church is one big farce. You can go to the Christian church, show up in complete sin, and allowed to stay there for years. You can't do that in Israel, man. You got to change. We have to change. You understand? We got to change. And if you don't understand, you won't be here in 2-3 years, so it doesn't matter. Well, I hope that you do stay. I hope we all stay, right? Read on.
Not with old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness.
That's the point. Read that again.
Not with old leaven.
So the old leaven represents what, brothers? Yes. But the sin is our what? Yes. The sin is our old man. Remember, the old man is the leaven. That's the connection. I know you know that, right? Read it again.
Not with old leaven.
Not with the old man, the old leaven, because we making new bread, brothers. We becoming a new loaf. Okay? But there's an ingredient in there that's going to stop us. Read.
Neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness.
The leaven of what?
Malice and wickedness.
Why? You ever think that God just has the prophets and Paul and them just write words in any order? Why would he mention malice first? Because that is the root of what we struggle with. Give me the definition of malice, please, tech team. Shout out to the tech team. Shout out to all these brothers that was on point, creating the thumbnails. There's so much excellent work that goes on behind the scenes in IUIC. That's why a lot of these camps can't stand us, because they say these guys are too perfect. It's because we work our tails off. These guys are probably up all night getting stuff in order. Okay? Read.
Definition of malice. The intention or desire to do evil.
My question is this. Did Christ struggle with malice? Yes. Yes, he did, because he was tempted at all points. Give me that in Hebrews. You know what that's at, Sariah, chapter 4?
That says what?
I didn't have it in the notes, but I want to prove it. Christ struggled. And guess what? Guess what, brother? I struggled too. Just like you. Just like you. And if you think I'm pointing you, I'm pointing directly to you. Because I actually just pointed to 3 of you. You don't know who I'm talking about. When we were in the basement years ago, before Purple and Gold, and Bishop Nathaniel, I just telling him, reminiscing real quick, he used to do a thing called cold calling. Anybody know what cold calling is? Cold calling is when you do this. So you ask a question, and then you pause for 3 seconds, and then in your pause, every one of you think I don't know your names, but I'll say, boom, boom, and then I'll say, boom, and I call your name. But all of you think I'm going to call on you, right? It's called cold calling. So when we were in the base, we always thought that we were going to get called on. So we always had to have the answer ready. Nowadays, it's not. We're so big and organized. Okay? So if you think I'm pointing to you, then I'm pointing to you. And guess what? Where that finger points, it go right back to me. You understand? We raising up a nation, and we all sick. All right? Read that, please, Alicia.
Hebrews chapter
Uriah.
4, verse 15. For we have not an high priest which cannot be touched with the feelings of our infirmities.
Who was that high priest, brothers? Now, during the time, okay, but before Christ died, we had high priests. Can you name one? Caiaphas, remember him? Remember John? We had high priests that were men of noteworthy position. Now, this is after Christ died in the book of Hebrews. So Paul is talking about who as the high priest? Hello? Christ. He's talking about Christ as the high priest. So now the high priest is going to get a description of the things, of the attributes of that high priest. Read.
But was in all points.
Hey, read it again, because I think I screwed it up. Read it again.
Verse 15. For we have not an high priest which cannot be touched with the feeling of our infirmities.
So we have not a high priest that could not be. By the way, how do we know this is talking about Christ? There's a giant clue. There's somewhere else in this book that tells you. No one knows? Yes. What does it say?
Verse 14. Seeing then that we have a great high priest that is passed into the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God.
So it tells you. It's talking about Jesus. If you had any doubt, thank you for that, brother. So now there's no, and this is with the Christian church. Well, nobody knows, brother, who that high priest is. Well, read 2 verses down, you Christian scholar. You brothers that came here, and you new brothers, you got more power in the 6 months, a year you've been here than a theologian who went to a seminary school and been a pastor for 30 years. You will destroy him just with the small knowledge you have. Because you know why? We learn to think. And we know the truth, and now we're not boxed. You can't control me by a lie no more. And that's the power. That's why you brothers are very powerful. You're very powerful men. And that's why it's important that the men fix ourselves. And then the women, they're gonna fall right in line like ducks. You know, you see how birds they roll? They got in the wolf pack. They got the leaders. They know who the leaders are. And then everybody else just gets in line. They don't ask the wolf questions. Okay? They know he's proven himself. That's why I get on you before about the help. How many fat wolves you know? How many fat lions? You want these sisters to follow us with help? Let's fix the fat wolves and lions amongst us, right? It's funny because Benjamin and Judah, they're probably the fattest tribes. Am I wrong? I see too many fat Issacharites. Well, that's not that's not true. I ain't gonna say nobody's name, but all right, read it again.
Verse 15, or verse 14. Seeing then that we have a great high priest.
So I was planning to do this class, look at the camera the whole time. I can't do that. I gotta flow with it, right? Okay, read it again.
Seeing then that we have a great high priest that is passed into the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God.
Come on, but watch what it says about Jesus, the Son of God. Remember that we started with the bread of malice, right? The ingredient of malice, right? So we proved that Jesus Christ, you brothers said, no, he was tempted with malice. Okay, now we're going to prove it. Read.
Verse 15. For we have not an high priest which cannot be touched with the feeling of our infirmities, but was in all points.
No, 3 points.
But was in all points.
All points of what? That's all points of what?
Tempted like as we are, yet without sin.
So he tells you, he was tempted with all sin. So was Christ ever tempted to commit acts of malice? Yes. Was Christ ever tempted perhaps with lust of women? Yes. And that's why Christianity is destroying our people, because they don't teach you the Bible that Jesus did not sin, and we're supposed to be followers of Jesus. We're not supposed to sin. And you got that knowledge. So shame on you if you don't develop it. Shame on you if you don't develop it. Shame on me if I don't develop it. And it doesn't matter how old. You could be 75 years old. It don't mean nothing. You could do so much in this truth. You got to grow. Hey, pull up the statement, JFK's famous statement. Pull that up real quick. Ask not. I got a question for you brothers, right? A lot of times we say, well, somebody will quote something. Like, I know I do this. I only want to quote a black guy in the world, right? So I'm going to quote Edomite. I don't care. Because what is being said is important. And this quote, that's it right there. Read that, Sarai. Just read the quote.
J.F. Kennedy, ask not what your country can do for you. It's not on the screen.
All right, well, anyways. All you 45-year-olds, ask not what your country can do for you, but you guys are terrible. Right? You're correct. So here's the deal. So if that was said in the 60s, because they were trying to heal America, remember that? Some of you might have been alive during that time. We are healing the nation of Israel. So we can use this same, and actually Bishop has brought this out before. The deacons have brought this out before. Ask not what your nation can do for you, but what can you do for the nation of Israel? What can you do for IUIC? Well, how about starting with the title of the class? We need some milk for that malice. And we need to accept the milk of correction. And that's going to be some of your stomach, but you men. You get corrected. Something happened. A lot of you, you got to be able to take it. Why? Because it's good. We're going to get into that today. Got a lot of scriptures to prove that. If I don't get to them all, that's okay. Read.
Go back where you was at. Okay. 1 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 8. Therefore, let us keep the feast, not with old leaven.
Right. Remember, the analogy is what? We are that what? With old man, but the literal analogy is of what? Bread. Come on, man. You know, here's the thing, bro. One day, this is what I think the problem with you brothers here, the new brothers, is you may not see yourself one day as being up here, being a leader. I was there. I used to clean toilets. No shame in my game. I understand before the purple. I understood all of that. You are the next leaders of Israel. So I respect you. I value you. So if I'm talking to you, at least have some decency to respond back. Is that fair? Okay, read it again.
Therefore, let us keep the feast, not with old leaven.
Not with old leaven. Why? Because we are that reform. We need to become that reformed bread. And you are the leaders that's going to cast down Christianity. You're going to heal the black and Hispanic community. You are the leaders. Right here in this room. Once you start seeing yourself, and I don't listen, well, I'm 75 years old. My Social Security's kicked in and I have a bad case of gout. Well, so what? You still can do something about it. Maybe gout's a bad example. I don't know, whatever. You can fix it. I can make that joke because I'm getting older. Not as old as that guy, but I'm getting older. I'm messing with him, bro. All right, read it again.
Not with old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness.
Neither with the malice. Wait, what is? Say it again. Read it again.
1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 8.
Yep.
Therefore, let us keep the feast, not with old leaven.
Not with the old leaven.
Neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness.
Neither with the malice. What is that?
Neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness.
Malice and he mentioned the word malice first. We looked up malice. Put the definition of malice up there again, please.
Malice, the intention or desire to do evil.
The intention or desire to do evil. So malice starts in our minds. Can we, let's look at some of the synonyms or similar terms.
All right.
And this covers a multitude of different things that we all struggle with. I'm talking about right in this room, right here. On this stage, right here. Even over there. Yes, even over there. Okay? Read some of the words.
Synonyms or similar words to malice. Spitefulness, spite, malevolence, maliciousness.
Maliciousness, read.
Animosity, hostility.
Well, you skipped. Oh, read on. Sorry.
Ill will.
Ill will.
Ill feeling.
Uh-huh.
Hatred.
You know what? One of the problems when you look historically, when you study black history, and you study the effects of chattel slavery, and then we went into a time called Reconstruction, and it was post-Reconstruction, and then we entered the Civil Rights era, and then you have the post-Civil Rights era. During that whole time, they tried, they did not try, they did. They divided us by female, male, light, dark, house, field, and they've tried to divide us today by socioeconomic values. Well, he lives in that nation. He's bougie. He's bougie, so he not black. And he live in the ghetto, so he ignorant. Well, some of the most black people you ever gonna meet come and live in affluent areas, and some of the smartest, non-ignorant people come out of the projects. So we have to start looking by the things that we hate ourselves. A lot of you don't like your nose, your lips. I'm too dark. I'm too light. Blah blah blah. I'm too fat. But you can do something about the fat part. So I ain't no sympathy for that part. You do something about that. Okay, he's smiling. It's the ones that are not smiling. Those are the brothers that they're like, I can't wait for this dude to shut the hell up. Why I'm not gonna? It's your fault. That dude is very stoic right there. Read on.
Bitterness, venom, vindictiveness.
Okay.
Vengefulness.
Yes.
Revenge.
Okay.
Malignity.
Yep.
Malignance. Evil intention. Animus. Enmity. Devilment. Devilry.
Did we get to the word grudge yet or no?
No, not
okay.
We can get to it. Grudge.
You could say it, I think, right?
Keep bitchiness, cattiness.
But stop. Read that last word again. After grudge.
Bitchiness, cattiness.
Hey, I ain't saying that, right? I just saw a brother walk by that section. I didn't want to look, see what was going on over there. Hey, I learned. I've been at you a long time. I know. Okay, now let's move on. Let's move on. Let's go to Matthew chapter 4, verse 4. Remember, he said before that we got to become the old leaven, right? And he compares us as bread. So now we're going to go to the gospel where it talks about us and how we eat. All right? And he compares it to the word of God. And all of you have read this before. You should have read it. And it will be a review for us. Read.
Matthew chapter 4, verse 4.
Come on.
But he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone.
He said, man shall not live by bread alone. So now he's going to refer the bread to something that we all know. This is the reason why all of your rear ends are parked in these chairs. It's not because we all went to high school together. It's not because we all lived in the same neighborhood. It's because we heard something that convicted us and said, we need to come. Read it again.
But he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone.
Now, is it just bread you eat? No, because there's a whole litany of foods that we eat. Okay, cucumbers, squash, raisins. Okay, all bread represents food. Okay, read on.
But by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God.
Now, go up to verse 1 through 3. I want to look at this real quick.
Matthew chapter 4, verse 1. Then was Jesus led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil.
Well, hold up. Didn't we read before about Jesus? Where did we read before about Jesus being tempted? We read about that. So now we're going to get an actual precept to prove one of them times. What was he going through right here? He was going through come on, y'all, somebody's reading. As you brothers are in this, you should be able to finish my sentences if you've been studying. You should have read this by now. Read it again.
Then was Jesus led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil.
Now, so who allowed him to be tempted? He was led up there. God is doing what to him? He's proving his son. It's a test. He's being led up, and now we're going to see this test. Read.
And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights.
Let me ask you something. What you think he was feeling on the 36th day? Right? What you think he was feeling day 17, day 20? Sure, now some of you in here, including myself, after 25 hours, I'm ready to give the ghost up. 24 hours, I'm like, I'm gonna keep it real. Damn. You got another hour. And you better, the sun down? Because, you doing the best you can, right? Some of you go 2-3 days, all praise the Lord. This Jesus the Christ is going through a 40-day fast, right? So how would I tempt you? At this point, you think the devil gonna go out and with a big booty Judy? He not work, right? How you gonna get him? So this is what we showing you how. This is an example we read in Hebrews that Jesus is going through a battle. Okay, read
verse 3. And when the tempter came to him, he said, "If thou be the Son of God."
Who sent the tempter? Let me rephrase it. The Most High allowed the tempter to be sent, right? Read on.
If thou be the Son of God.
So now, what is he doing to Jesus? He's attacking something. He's attacking his what? His faith, true. But think about it. There's something different. He's attacking something about Jesus. Authority, status. Who is he? He's the Son of God. He's attacking his integrity. You really the Son of God? You understand what I'm saying? What if somebody says to you something at work and you didn't even you going 4 hours since your last food, you might be tempted to say, who the hell you think you're talking to? You talking to me? Christ stayed in the spirit and he uses something to fight for him. Malice probably popped up. Slick talk probably popped up, right? Read on.
If thou be the Son of God.
Say, if you were the Son of God, read.
Command these stones be made bread.
Because you know what? Could he have done that? Well, prove to me that he could have done that. Prove to me that he could have done that. I got some proof for you. If you say yes, right? How do we know that Jesus had superpowers? How do we know that? You didn't read that in the Christian church? He did something at a wedding. You guys are tough. So is it physically impossible for us to take water and turn it into whatever, what do they call it? What do you drink now? Don Perry, whatever y'all drink today. Could you do that? Does that defy the laws of everything, of physics and all that, right? You trying to tell me he can't take a rock and make a loaf of Ezekiel bread or whatever that? He could have did that, right? And the proof we have is he turned water to wine and he walked on water and he disappeared. And what happened when they came to get him? What did he do? When they came to get him, Peter drew a sword, did what? Did what? Cut his ear off, and what did he do? Ask any surgeon in the planet, is that possible? It's not possible. So we know that Jesus could have did that. So I'm just showing you, and I know you know this, it's just a review, right? He had the power to do what? To turn that and eat right then and there. That's the temptation. Read on.
If thou be the Son of God.
He's questioning his manhood or his authority, right? Christ had authority, right? How you know Christ had authority? Get me Mark chapter 2. Just came to me. It says Mark 1:33 or something like that. It says he had authority. So Jesus had authority. Jesus was a powerful teacher. Remember how powerful he was? He was teaching on the wayside. Remember when he went out on the lake and he came back and he taught thousands of people, right? And his voice was as the sound of what? Many waters. So you don't think he had authority? Now he hungry as hell, and here comes insulting his position. So when someone comes and insults your position, how you going to handle it? Read.
Mark chapter 1, verse 27. And they were all...
I was wrong, so it's not 33. Excuse me, 27. Read.
And they were all amazed, insomuch that they questioned among themselves, saying...
So this is the Messiah is teaching so profoundly, they're questioning everything. Read.
What thing is this? What new doctrine is this?
Come on.
For with authority commandeth he even the unclean spirits.
Christ wasn't speaking nothing but the power. That's not the one I wanted. That's a good one, though. Christ was teaching nothing new, but it's the way he was delivered. That man had authority. So that was being challenged in Matthew 4, right? We'll go back to Matthew 4.
Matthew chapter 4, verse 3.
Yes, sir.
And when the tempter came to him, he said, if thou be the Son of God.
Questioning his status, his authority, his power. Read on.
Command that these stones be made bread.
And there's a challenge. Read on.
But he answered and said.
So now, instead of tapping into the old man, which he did battle, we proved that in Hebrews 4, Christ uses the word. And that's something we all got to learn. And it's not easy. Read.
It is written. Man
So Christ did what? He went back to the writings of who? Moses. Read.
Man shall not live by bread alone,
Come on.
but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God.
So Christ used the law to fight for him. Where can we read that in the law? No, I don't want you. You got a purple shirt on. Somebody else. Go ahead, brother. You sure about that? I like that. Confidence. Get that. Deuteronomy 8 and 3. Very good. Very good.
Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 3.
I love it when brothers are happy to answer. Even if you get the answer wrong, just be strong about it. Nothing wrong, nothing worse than somebody say the wrong answer, but you're so damn weak. Some of you may be feds up in here. Some of you are not really here for the right reasons. You know that spiritual man can see spirits, just so you know that. Some of you are crept in here to spy out our liberty, and that is absolutely fine. Some of you are going to convert too, just so you know that. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Read.
Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 3. And he humbled thee and suffered thee to hunger.
So what does that mean? He humbled the nation of Israel. How did he humble us? Over 400 years of slavery. And then Moses let my people go. We were delivered, right? As we passed through the Red Sea, he destroyed the Egyptian army. Then what happened after that? Less than 7 weeks. No, less than 6 weeks. 6 times 7 is 42, right? What did we end up doing? After seeing the miracles of going through the Red Sea and getting our enemies being destroyed, what did we do? We went into idolatry with the golden heifer. Remember that? That shows you how we are sick. Just imagine yourself. You go through the Red Sea. You're at the bottom. You walking through. You're like, imagine the conversation we having. Damn, we being delivered right now. We at the bottom and the top of the sea's way up there. You walking through. You get through. Then you start getting scared because the enemy is on our tail. And did he close the sea up right as soon as they got to the base of the Red Sea? He let them do what? He let them get inside and start rolling through. And was it super muddy on the ground? Why? How do you know that? Because the chariots was rolling. You ever see the movies where the old movies, like Robin Hood, and the chariot gets stuck in the mud? You ain't going nowhere if it's super muddy. So the Lord allowed us to see that, and he destroyed all our enemies for us. And guess what? We still went back to evil. In less than 6 weeks that we talk about, right? Think about that. That's why we sick today, man. We need the milk of malice for malice, and we need the milk of correction. I've been in the truth. I'm a teenager, man. I've been in the truth for I'm a teenager. I need correction. And guess what? When I'm corrected and when you're corrected, that means the Lord loves you. The Lord loves you, brothers. Right? And you sisters too, but I'm looking over here because these are the leaders of the nation of Israel. You are helpmates, you are pillars, you are supports. Okay? Read.
And he humbled thee and suffered thee to hunger and fed thee with manna.
What was the manna, brothers? The manna was spiritual, right? When you read the history, man, that was heavy how the Most High did that thing. Today, the relationship is the manna that we eat is the word of God, the word of the Most High. When you fight your spiritual battles, don't use malice. Use the law. Use the word. You understand? That's how we're going to overcome. Okay, read on.
Which thou knewest not, neither did thy fathers know, that he might make thee know that man doth not live by bread alone.
So this is what? What are we reading here? This is where Jesus quoted. Did he not? So Jesus used the law. And now we're going to the law, showing you that Christianity is one big giant lie. Because if the law is done away with, why would the Messiah go back to the law? And you brothers have that knowledge. You brothers are very important men. You understand that? Very important. I don't give a damn if you're 75 or you 21, whatever. You brothers are very important. All right? Read.
But by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Lord.
Do me a favor. Look up the word. I know I didn't give it to you. I want you to look up the word humble and the word prove. See, the Lord was proving us when he brought us out of Egypt. That's why he let us walk around for 40 years. And you know what's amazing? The Lord the Lord cares for us. How do you know that the Lord really cares for Israel? And it's something small. It's a logistical thing. I want you to think about it. For 40 years, you doing what? And what did he not allow to happen? It doesn't say our feet swell, but I think you're right about inferring, because what did not happen? Our shoes didn't wear out. Go to Walmart, get a set of shoes. 6 months they wore out, right? 40 years? Come on, man. The Lord loved Israel. You are loved by God. So when we went through slavery, that was love. So now the title of the class is, when malice come upon you, you got to go back to the word, the milk. That's how you deal with malice, because all of us got it in us. And then the next part is correction. And right now, y'all maybe not receiving so much correction now. As you get more rank and responsibility, you will get corrected. And guess what? That will be part of your growth and development in this truth. Talking about a Christian church, you're on your fourth wife and nobody corrected you. Well, what'd you get divorced for? Irreconcilable differences. That's garbage. And we have the law to prove that. Every one of you men could go into the law and show us what are the grounds for divorce, brothers? What are the grounds? And you know that. These Christians don't know that. And by the way, we all used to be Christians. I'm talking about myself. I'm not taking shots. I used to be in a damn Christian church for 30 years. Okay? So I'm taking a shot at myself. Some of your family are gonna come out. They're gonna come out of the church, Lord's will. Read.
Definition for humble: having or showing a modest or low estate of one's own importance.
See, that's heavy, because the more status you get, and the more in this, to make it to quantify it, the more rank you get for the men, and your sisters as you become more in senior, sisters, and how they have the senior sisters, the honorable sisters, and I think I got that right. More is going to be, we have to be more humble. You understand? Bishop says something heavy, and I don't know if you pay attention to him. I think we all pay attention, Bishop, but I listen to also his Proverbs, because in the scriptures it talks about wise men had their own Proverbs, right? And one thing Bishop said is that he said about us traveling and being able to push this truth worldwide, having men help abroad. We can't send men full of malice. We can't send men that can't be corrected. So all you brothers got to see your value, in that this is needed for you to come up and raise up the nation of Israel that are scattered 12 tribes worldwide, right? And that's another thing Bishop came up with that, right? Now it's a chant. When I first came to church, I didn't even think, I couldn't even imagine this whole room being filled. Now we worldwide. Hey, we need milk for our malice, man. And we need milk, the milk of correction. Read on.
Definition number
I gotta
2.
speed up. I only have an hour. I got to move on. Read on.
Of low social, administrative, or political rank.
Oh, we don't want that. So number 1 was the definition of humble.
Mm-hmm.
Prove. What does it mean to prove?
Definition for prove.
In this truth, one second. In this truth, right? All of you, how many of you are single? Raise your hand. Even some of you old ones. Put your hand down. What about you, the woman? So the decent amount of men and women are single. The most important investment that you can make as a Israelite, probably, well, other than getting to the kingdom, right? Search out your own salvation with fear and trembling, is who you decide to what? Marry, right? So you got to prove them with a series of steps and questions and tests for, there's a 3-letter acronym that I'm thinking of, right? Right? S something something. You got to get these blood tests and all that, right? STD, I can say that. You would not put your life on the line without getting these things in check before you marry somebody, right? So guess what? The Lord has proven you to make sure you're worthy, that I'm worthy to get to the kingdom. And guess what? The Lord set men up on this earth who are bishops, who are deacons, who are captains and senior officers, right? That will be here as representatives of the Lord to correct you. And that's what the second part of the class is. A lot of you don't want to be corrected. I'm 52 years old. I've spent 10 years in corporate America, and I know how to balance budgets. Well, you might have to just shut the hell up and humble your spirit down because it's not corporate America anymore. Or you was a 20-year veteran in the U.S. military. I was so much more organized. Okay, and you got to learn to humble yourself. Give me the definition of humble. I had to humble myself. We still got to humble yourself. So what? You was in the military. So what? You might have been a CFO. You might have been a guy that was a shot caller. And now you got to follow the shot that's been called. You got to fall in line. Right? And guess what? A soldier loved to follow orders. A soldier loved order. But the Negro and the Hispanic, we don't like that. That's what we got to change. All right? Read that.
Definition for humble. Having or showing a modest or low estimate of one's own importance.
And a lot of times we get puffed up. You know what I used to do when I used to watch my YouTube videos back in the day? And I'd act like I didn't. I'd be like this. I just got 5,000 views. And I'll go back. I can't wait till it gets to 10,000 views because then people will think I'm important. I used to do that. I'm going to admit it. That's not right. I had to fix that. Now I want to see other brothers get in I want to see you brothers. We want to see you brothers rise up and become better than us. Right? That comes with humbling. Correction humbles you. Knowing how to fight with the word of God can humble you. How many people like their job? Raise your hand. No, I'm saying, how many people like their job? Raise your hand. Y'all don't like your job? Any sisters like your job? One of them. She might sound white too. Meaning, if you talking, hey Jennifer, how are you? I mean, you can get by. Chuck, how are you? Well, doing great. So I mean, hey, if you gotta do what you gotta do to get by today, I get it. You can play a game with it, right? I understand. I don't like my job. It is what it is, but I forgot where I was going there. Read it again.
Having or showing a modest or low estimate of one's own importance.
So what you realize in this truth is that you're not as important as you think you are. Yes, you're a son of God. Yes, you're a daughter of Sarah. And for that, the importance of you getting the kingdom, that's your reward. But during this process, we got to be humble. We got to be willing to take correction. Not everybody is trying to get you if they're trying to correct you. Stop thinking that. Okay, we're about to change gears. Read on.
Did you want the definition for prove?
Yes, please.
All right. Definition for prove. Demonstrate the truth or existence of something by evidence or argument.
Read it again.
Demonstrate the truth or existence of something by evidence or argument.
I'm going to give you a serious example and then a comical example. One example is if you want to make sure that you secured your house for the night. You're going away on a trip. You need to make sure your house is secured. So what are you going to do? This is something what are we going to do? Make sure all the doors are locked. If we have a alarm system on, if we have perhaps shutters are closed so no glass is exposed. Perhaps we bring certain valuables inside off the porch or the deck, right? Now we know that we have secure. We've proven to ourselves, hey, your wife must say, hey, did you secure the house? We getting ready to go? Yes, I did. Or if she had to do it, you at work, hey, sweetheart, is the house secure? Yes, it is, right? And that's, you need proof. Well, hey, babe, send me a picture. Send me a video. I want to make sure that we're good. We're going away for a week or two, right? Now, here's a funny example. So, chairs. Chairs have a weight capacity, right? And some people should probably not sit in chairs that are above the weight capacity. The ones that are looking down right now getting mad. So the way you could test that is if you had a brother or a sister, it never happens to sisters, who would try to test that theory. So you're 346 pounds. And the weight limit of that wonderful chair is 250. You could prove that that weight capacity is correct. And what would be the result? The chair would fall apart. I've seen it happen to a couple of brothers. I'm not going to say any names. I really, really want to say names right now, but I'm not going to do it. All right.
Don't do it, Kev. Don't do it.
I won't do it. All right. All praise the Lord. Get me 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 20. I'm going to speed it up. You know, we gotta learn to bring humor into our walk. You can have fun. You know, you can have fun. You can joke around. At the end of the day, they're jokes, and they're not meant to destroy anybody. It's meant to inspire people to change. Read.
1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 20. I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong chapter. Chapter 14 and verse 20.
Come on.
Brethren, be not children in understanding.
What does that mean? Brethren, be not children in understanding. What does that mean? Somebody just say it out loud. How come none of the old brothers say anything? Don't be childish, right? But this is talking about understanding, right? So yes, being childish is of a man, but in the spirit, how are we not children in understanding? It's real basic. We study, so we know that we're not going to celebrate Valentine's Day. That's not in the law. But we're going to prepare for what? Tabernacles. We understand that. We're men in understanding. But now he flips it. Read on.
Howbeit, in malice.
What is the word howbeit? Does anyone know what part of speech is howbeit? It's a conjunction. It's beginning to join two thoughts. Sometimes they could be separate. Sometimes they could be the same. But the word but or however is another example of a conjunction, right? Or you could do the same thing with a semicolon, right? Read it again.
Howbeit, in malice be ye children.
So what is that talking about? Forgiveness. So, and I'll give you an example, right? Years ago, I was a teacher. And for one period of the teaching, I had to teach a before and after school program for elementary school children. So I was a co-teacher with a class with 3 to 5 year olds, right? And these little guys, but these city kids, right? Little, I can't say his name, little Puerto Rican dude. This dude was a little firecracker. I'm straight up, right? And he got into, I'm talking about banging. I'm from up in the New York area. You know what banging is? Banging, when we talk that you fight. You bang it, you know what I'm saying? You ever heard that? You don't say that. So we say bang. So they was fighting each other. boom, swinging, boom, like literally fighting. So I break them apart, and they have these stations. They have a sand station, water station, blah blah blah. They do these, they go around. They do their time periods. Like a little timer. They go to this thing. Less than 5 minutes, and they was clawing at each other. They giving each other a hug right back at the sand table like nothing happened. And that's an example, right? So why is it that we hear in the body you bringing up stuff that happened 3 years ago? I'm not talking about you telling a story. You remember that brother did this? I'm talking about you still have an issue with something that somebody did to you 4 years ago. We got to get rid of that. We got to get rid of that, bro. Read it again.
Howbeit, in malice be ye children, but in understanding be men.
Right. The whole chapter is talking about what? It's actually talking about languages, right? And tongues. But then, and this is why this is important. Because if we want to raise up the nation of Israel scattered worldwide, as you leaders get built up, as we get built up and go to these places, you don't think, and they was not raised with bishops and deacons, you don't think they're going to have malice? You don't think they're going to have bitterness? You don't think they're going to have these things in the congregation? You have to be men of understanding who can go in and teach them how to forgive, how to be children in malice. That's what you're being groomed for. You brothers, like, y'all position yourselves to make moves. Read it again.
Howbeit, in malice be ye children.
Come on.
But in understanding be men.
Very good. We're going to move on to 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 1.
1 Peter chapter 2, verse 1. Wherefore, laying aside all malice.
Laying aside all what, brothers? So all malice. What? You notice a pattern here? Why is malice the first word being talked about in several parts of the scriptures? Because that is the thought and the intent to do evil. What is evil? That's sin. Christ told us, Matthew, remember he said, to even think about another woman is to commit adultery in one's mind. So these are things that he talks about malice, number one. Now, Peter's reiterating that. Read on.
And all guile.
And all guile, trickery, deception. Read on.
And hypocrisies. And envies.
So that's the other thing. How can we teach people to be children in malice, but you holding on a grudge? You can't let it go. You can't let it go. You bitter. How you going to teach others in different parts of the world to look, hey, listen, that's water under the bridge, right? Sirach 28. This came to me. Sirach 28. Sirach 28. Sometimes you got to roll in the spirit. I had a bunch of 2 hours, 3 hours creating all this. I'm going to go here to this scripture. Then I'm going to go here. Listen. No, you don't need a million scriptures. Okay, read.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 28, verse 1.
Come on.
He that revengeth shall find vengeance from the Lord.
So this is part of getting over that malice. Because remember, we read the definition of malice and it had all the different synonyms. Bitterness, okay, grudging, bunch of other words. You remember them. Read on.
And he will surely keep his sins in remembrance.
Read it again.
He that revengeth shall find vengeance from the Lord.
So a lot of times when we see these karate movies, right, you got the guy that gets wronged, right? He raises up, learns the kung fu style, and he go back up and he do what? He go take vengeance of the enemy that killed his uncle or his mother, right? That's not always talking about physical revenge. You can get revenge on somebody and not hurt them physically. And that's what we deal with a lot in the body. Is brother want to get back at that brother for something he did 2 years ago. I'm just going to sit back and wait. I'm going to wait for the times right, and I'm going to stick it to that brother. And you women do the same doggone thing. Do the same thing. Read it again.
He that revengeth shall find vengeance from the Lord.
He that revengeth will find vengeance from the Lord. Read on, watch this.
And he will surely keep his sin in remembrance.
Now he might forget about it. Read it again.
And he will surely keep his sins in remembrance.
So the act of forgiveness, getting rid of the malice, you have to forgive your brother, your sister, or the Lord ain't going to remember. He's going to remember your sins. That's why classes like this are so important, because just like every year they tell you Halloween, Christmas, every year Mother's Day, 4th of July, every year they tell you the same thing. They already got the dumb, stupid Halloween stuff in Home Depot right now. Who been in Home Depot last week? They got the dumb giant statues over it, right? You see the blow-up statues and all that? Okay, then right after that, they go right into we get constantly inundated with sin. You constantly got to go back to the milk so we can get these spirits off us, so we can do what? We can spread this 12 tribes worldwide. The elect get sealed, and we going home. We tired of this place, man. I'm getting damn tired of people telling me what to do, man. I want to rule. I want to be the one that you come serve me, man. I'm getting tired of it. Like Bishop Kanai would say when he banged the table, right? Bishop want the kingdom. He want to rule. Isaiah 14. I'm very similar. Not very similar to Bishop Kanai. I want the same thing. You all should want the same thing. Peace from your labor. Vengeance over your enemies. And at that point, the vengeance that God going to deliver, you're not going to be able to even imagine how wonderful it will be. I want to see that. Don't let malice get in the way of that. And some of you old brothers, you're set in your ways. Moses was 80. You can change your mind too. Read.
Forgive thy neighbor the hurt that he hath done unto thee.
Forgive thy neighbor the hurt. Guess what? Hurt is hard to forgive. Somebody hurt you. Somebody punch you directly in the nose. That thing hurt. That's easy to forgive somebody for punching you in the nose. You get into a street fight. Somebody punch you in the nose. That might be your best friend years later. Well, now they just shoot today. But if somebody hurt you with words, it's sometimes harder. In James, it talks about the tongue being a little member but doing much damage. We have to learn to forgive. Read on.
So shall thy sins also be forgiven.
All right. That's it. I just wanted to show you that. Go back to
1 Peter.
Yes, please.
Chapter 2, verse 1.
I'm going to speed it up.
Wherefore, laying aside all malice and all guile.
So what does it mean when we lay aside? If I have, a bunch of stuff in my shelf, I got some old stuff, I got to lay this. I pick it out, move it out the way, and I compartmentalize it. The Most High is saying, you are that lump. You have ingredients in you, and you got to go to your ingredient list and say, damn, I'm a malicious guy. I am a lustful guy or a lustful girl, lady. I got to take these ingredients and put it aside. But how can you put the ingredients aside if you don't identify what's in you? And what identifies you? 2 words. The law. The law identifies you. When you read the laws, oh shoot, that is talking about me. I don't forgive. I hold on to grudges. I have a lustful mind. That's us. Read it again.
Wherefore, laying aside all malice.
I put the sin that I've identified, and I put it over there on the shelf. Now what can I do with it? I can either take it and reorganize it back where it came from, or what can I do with it? I'll put it where it belongs. That's the garbage. Read.
And all guile.
And all trickery.
And hypocrisy.
You know what? You know what guile is? You can deceive yourself. You can deceive yourself. That's why Paul said you got to know yourself. If you're an angry brother, you got to work on it. You know what you struggle with. We know what we struggle with as men. Right? Read.
And envies and all evil speaking.
Oh, you know what that goes into? You have, and I shared, we was in the car right up here. A lot of times, some murmuring does not get brought forth. Meaning you got 2, 3 brothers on their way out. They really not here. And they talk, I don't like the way that they talk to us here. It's very rude. And then this person talking, and guess what? They was going to leave anyways, and the other new brother just got here. Now he gets pulled into that garbage, and he gets taken out. So, evil speaking, when you hear that, listen, you ain't got to be mean about it. Hey, can you repeat that again to me? You said what? Oh, okay, so why don't you go tell him about that? Oh, you think? Yeah, go talk to him about that, and then separate yourself. That's how you dead. Read it again.
Wherefore, laying aside all malice.
So we put that ingredient, that malice aside. Read on.
And all guile.
And all that trickery. Come on.
And hypocrisies.
And a hypocrite. And you sit there talking about you want to be a doctor, and you're unhealthy as hell. I want to go to a doctor that looks like, let me think of a girl. Rasputia. 165. You get it, Norbert? It was the movie Norbert, Rasputia. She weighed more than 165. Anyways. All right, I'll speed it up. Read on.
And envies, and all evil speaking.
And all evil speaking. Norbert was one of my favorite movies. I can tell you, right? Eddie is funny. He's wicked as hell for cross-dressing, but Eddie was funny. All right, read on.
As newborn babes.
That's the point, newborn babes. Because what do babes need? They need milk. Give me that picture. I wanted to do a woman breastfeeding, but then I realized, what am I talking about? I can't show that, right? So give me the one with the calf. So now, this is a YouTube short. The reason why I'm showing this is because that calf right there requires that milk to grow. And if you try at a certain age to give a calf, whether it be a goat calf, a sheep calf, a lion cub, you know what I mean? They cannot a lion cub can't start eating a gazelle hoof or a gazelle leg. He can't do that. He got to drink mommy milk. And this calf here, just play it. All right, look in the back, the big daddy with the big giant horns is over there. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, the women have horns too. My bad. Okay. Anyways, I didn't know that. Did y'all know that the women have horns? I did not know that the women, the lady cows have horns. First time I knew it, I thought only the men. Anyways, you learn something new every day. But anyways, bottom line is that this calf needs milk just like we need the word. We need the law. We need to be guided and structured by this, and we need to keep coming back to this. All of y'all are babes, man. But y'all been here 2-3 years. Y'all need that milk. And guess what? When we step out the spirit, we got to go right back to renewing our mind and being those babes again. Give me that in John where he says, born again. Is it 3? Yes, John 3. Thank you. I'm watching my time.
John chapter 3, verse 3.
Yes.
Jesus answered and said unto him, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born again.
So this is in his truth. We were all born again. How many of you in this room were over 30 years old when you found out you was an Israelite? Raise your hands. Over 30. Half the room, more than half the room. So you were already fully developed. You pretty much stopped growing. You were an adult. But you had to become a newborn babe. But guess what? In this truth, you got to reset yourself. And there's times when you got to go back to, you know what? I need to go back to that milkman because something wrong with me, man. Something's wrong with me. And it don't matter if you're 80 years old because you too. I'm not saying if you were 80, but the point is you too. It doesn't matter your age. We need to go back to the basics. All right? Knowing deep prophecies is wonderful, and it's all part of this truth. But the basics of the milk of malice, milk for your malice and the milk of correction, that's what's going to make you grow. Think about it, right? You have, all of us who have children, we know that there are certain milestones where we had to apply the correction. Anybody have a kid trying to climb out the crib? Well, before you transition them out to a bigger crib, you got to get on them. Or they got the baby gates. You got the baby gates, and you got a set of stairs. It may have carpet on it, but what you got to do is you got to put the baby gate up. And when they get big enough where they could try to climb over the baby gate, you're going to have to get a bigger gate or do something else about it. Why was I going there? Read it again. I just lost my train of thought.
Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born again,
Right.
he cannot see the kingdom of God.
He cannot see the king, meaning we got to go back, and we have to remember when we stepping out the spirit, we got to go back to the milk. We need that renewal again. We need to go back like when we first came in this truth and realize I'm dealing with this spirit. There's something wrong with that. And here's the other thing. As you get more responsibility and rank, if your name is not being mentioned and you're not being corrected, something wrong with you. Because that means the leaders are constantly honing and want you to grow. You understand that? To this day, that is one of the honors, is being around leadership. For me, I'm talking about me now. An honor to be around and get that love and that correction. That means I know that my name is mentioned amongst the great men. And I'm going to prove it in a minute. Read on.
Go back to 1 Peter's.
Yeah, go back to, I'm going to skip ahead. I'm going to skip that. Get me Hebrews chapter 12. We're going to start there. Hebrews chapter 12. So then we're going to switch gears to correction. Correction is something that is necessary for children to grow. That's why they have a thing called the spanking. Esau really, black people, we don't use that. Timmy is going to get a spanking as soon as he gets home. We don't say stuff like that. But spanking, I wanted to look up the definition of the word. Look up the word spanking, please. So a spanking is biblical, okay? Read that.
Spanking, an act of slapping, especially on the buttocks, as a punishment for children.
So even the people that created dictionaries, they know that when you do spank a child, and this is a little bit off topic, it's supposed to be on that area. And that's biblical. All you men should know that. So if we're correcting our children, you better not be going upside their face. Right where that says. Spank them on their sides. That's what the Bible says. Why I pulled the definition of spanking is this. Because you are going to get corrected in this truth, and it does not feel good. But the end result is there's a desired effect if you humble your spirit. You ever see a kid that gets, I remember that. I did something. I think I broke a window. Something happened years ago. And my father had a paddle with holes in it. You know what I mean? So if you have a paddle with holes in it, what does that do for the aerodynamics of the paddle? You can swing it a lot faster. Is it still hard? You damn straight. I said, why did the holes in it? It was a thought out device for spanking that ass. It was effective. The point is, it didn't feel good, but here's the thing. You remember when you were getting whooped? Remember when you were getting whooped where you cry so hard that tears don't come out no more? You just crying, but nothing coming out? That's when you begin to accept it. And then there comes a point where when you stop crying, so some of your parents are abusive as hell. They just kept going and going. That's wrong. But you stop crying, and then they know you had enough. But when you buck and you fight, you just stop, put your hands back there and you try to fight it, you're going to keep getting it, right? Am I right or am I wrong? But when you give in, you accept it, right? That's the correction, and you learn the lesson. Now you know you're not going to, I'm not going to skip school. I'm not going to break a window and then try to anybody ever break a window and try to hide the glass? You never did that? You never broke no vase and you tried to literally sweep it under the rug. Nobody ever did that before? And you're going to get caught because parents pay attention. And when you get caught, that's your behind. And it's happened to probably a lot of us. Some of you maybe were perfect children. I doubt that. Read Hebrews chapter 12, verse 5.
Hebrews chapter 12, verse 5. And ye have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto you as unto children.
Because a lot, and you know what's it's funny, right? When you exhort the child, right? Does he ever buck up against that? Man, Johnny did great. He's in school. He got B pluses and A's, and he gonna get a new game for the doggone PS3, 4, 5, whatever. You're gonna get the newest console, right? He never have a problem with that. Matter of fact, he's smiling with the little girl happy. She get a new little dress. She all happy, right? And you never question that exhortation as a child. So in this truth, yeah, you grow from exhortation, but you also grow from what? From correction. In the spirit, you going to get your ass, and that's not a bad thing. And what happens is a lot of you put pride on you to the point where you think you above correction because I pay taxes, I got a house note, I got a car note. Who do you think you're talking to? I'm a grown man. You're a grown man who's been in truth for 3 years, and in the spirit, you are a toddler. And that's hard for people to accept. I'm a teenager, man. I need correction. I need it. 25-year-olds need correction, right? I'm just using an arbitrary number. We all need correction. Read on.
My son, despise not the chastening of the Lord.
Because let me ask you a question. During the time of Moses, the Lord did chastise us directly, correct? What was a couple ways he chastised us directly? Fiery serpents in Numbers, right? And we got the new medical symbol, right? He also opened up the earth, right? He sent different things where he directly judged us. Today, we don't have those, right? Well, you commit adultery with somebody's wife and might be a jealous husband and put 2 in you, right? But today we get corrected in this truth from the men of God that have been set up to judge matters. All right, read on.
My son, despise not the chastening of the Lord.
So what does despise mean? You can't stand it. The Lord is saying the same. He starts talking about like children in exhortation. This is why you become an officer of 10. Officer of 10, congratulations. You walk on stage, everybody claps. You ain't got a problem with that? Why you didn't stop right there and say, no, stop. I don't agree with it. No. Or they give you an accolade. The sister get a kitchen award, and she nice, all font and everything, shiny letters. Deacon, I don't agree with that. I don't want that. You love that. So now correction come from the same godly folks that God put in, the leadership at your city, where you live at. And now you got a problem. And that goes back to being children. And that goes back to the milk. The milk of correction is very important. Read it again.
My son, despise not the chastening of the Lord.
Here was my point. The chastening is not going to come. God not going to come down and say, brother, I'm very upset with you. You did this. He ain't going to do that. It's going to come through correction. It comes from, might be an officer. Officer 50 has to correct. Let me give you an example. You got sisters, right? It's not in Atlanta, so don't think I'm talking about you. You got a sister coming to the congregation, and it's not New Orleans, and she has a dress that is inappropriate, right? And a sister that's an officer 50's wife says, sis, you're not supposed to wear that. You're supposed to be modest. And that sister now got a problem with her because she was corrected about something that we can find in the scriptures. Same thing with brothers. Here you are, 48 years old, 54 years old. Got a house paid off. You got 3 cars. You might be a site supervisor. And you got a 23-year-old young man who's an officer of 20 is telling you what to do. You might not like that because you are somebody in the world. And this is something we deal with. This is the real deal, man. Or you might have a doctorate degree and a master's degree, and somebody that's a truck driver that's an officer of 60 is telling you what to do. Who does this nigga think he is? Doesn't he know who I am? That could be the first thought, right? It could be, and that's malice. So Christ told us how to war with that. You got to say, you know what? 1 Corinthians 4, all things done decent order. This officer just told me to do something that's reasonable. Let me step in the spirit. Okay, yeah, no, all praises. Now, if he's telling you go detail his car with a toothbrush, that's a different story. That's a little bit egregious. You want me to take a toothbrush and clean? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about reasonable things. Okay, read on.
Nor faint when thou art rebuked of him.
Nor faint when the rebuke comes through men. Read on.
Verse 6. For whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth.
What does that mean? What does that mean? Correction. Chasten. Look up that word chasten, please. That's a form. That is a spiritual spanking. That's what that is. And a lot of you, brother, it comes with experience. The only advice I give you, brother, you have to endure. This is a marathon. This is not a sprint. This is not the 110 hurdles, man. This is a marathon that you got to be in this for the long run. And I see this with a lot of people that are in their 40s and above have a hard time taking correction. Because some of you are not here for this truth. You're here because it looks good. You see the purple. It sounds good. I see them marching and all the different things and the tabernacles. And it looks great on YouTube. And all that's been editing and strung together. Wonderful, by the way, right? Shout out to the tech team. But check it out. Then there's the everyday walk that you walk with. Things that happen in this truth that you got to deal with. You got to be set your mind that you're going to be here for the long haul. And you gotta endure, just like Christ, just like our King. Read.
Chasteneth, to inflict disciplinary or corrective punishment.
Now, see that? That does not always have to be a little cat o' nine tails or a paddle board. That can be somebody talking to you in a way that you feel it is so condescending how he is speaking to me. Correction does not always feel great. Read it again.
To inflict disciplinary or corrective punishment on, to visit with affliction for the purpose of moral improvement.
You see that right there? For the purpose of moral what?
Improvement.
Come on.
To correct.
To correct. Read on.
Discipline.
Come on.
Chastise.
So that's, you see, it's right there. We need that to grow. We need it to grow. You need it. I need it to grow. All right. I'm going to step it up. Let's go to where are we at? Verse 9.
Verse 6.
Come on.
For whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth.
So if you are not getting chastised, guess what? The Lord is not dealing with you. And like I said, when you get corrected, don't fight it. If you know it's right, you bucking up, don't fight it, man. Because a child got no choice. But here's the thing about this world. It teaches you, like, for example, when you was raised in your family, right? When you were 7, you can't say, hey, time out, Mom. I want to leave the house. In your biological family, you have to stay in that house until you can move on, right? We have to start understanding that this is a family. IUIC, the nation of Israel, we are a family. And if you start looking at your brothers like their family, like the eldest, matter of fact, let me get that right. Let me get 1 Timothy 5. Bishop Nathaniel, Bishop Yawasop, Bishop Kenai, Deacon Asaph, okay? Deacon Malachiah, Deacon Abiel, and the list goes on. Deacon Laba. These men are I'm going to let the scripture speak. First, the captains are like uncles or big brothers. Okay? Read.
1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 17. Let the elders that rule well be counted worthy of double honor.
So what does that mean? Does that mean a bishop walk in the room and, Shalom, Most High and Christ? Yeah, that's true. That's a very superficial layer. But the honor comes, we give our bishop honors when we do what we're supposed to. When we fix ourselves and we begin to grow. And now the worldwide development of our nation begins to spring up because we have more men that put themselves in a position both financially and spiritually to go deal with the things that will surface in these other schools. Because guess what they did not have? Yeah, they have YouTube and they can put a class up, but they don't have elders right there with them. It's our job to get out there and help our brothers. Read.
Especially they who labor in the word and doctrine.
Especially them that labor in the word and doctrine. So when the structure is set up in your schools, okay, and correction comes out, you should be examining yourself as that child saying, you know what? The Lord loved me. And if something happens where it's wrong, the Lord will bring that out. Jesus suffered, and the little thing you going through, you got a problem with it. You did not get dragged through the city with a crown of thorns on your head, poked in the side, beard. You didn't go through that. I didn't go through that. But you get corrected one time, and you're ready to leave the nation of your family. It make no sense. This is why we got to be like children. We got to be. I don't care if you're 75 years old, you be like a child in malice and understanding we're men. Read.
Go back to 1 Corinthians.
Yes.
Hebrews.
Yes, please.
Hebrews chapter 12, verse 7.
We almost done, y'all.
If ye endure chastening, God dealeth with you as with sons.
So endurance is something that it is a threshold. To endure something is you got to put up with it. To endure in like a sprint, right? It's not an endurance race. You're done in 15 seconds or less. You got the new sister, what's her name? Sha'Carri Richardson, whatever her name is. She running like 10 flat. She's a sprinter. It's easy. Run a marathon. You got to endure. You got to put up with the stress and the things you got to do to run a marathon. This is a marathon for the kingdom. You have to be able to endure correction when it comes like a child. When malice comes and evil thoughts come, you got to be like them kids that fight and quickly get over it. Because you will be like a child when it comes to guile, malice, trickery, revenge, bitterness, murmuring. And that's not easy, especially if you're 49 years old and you came out of a place where you were seen as the man. It's not easy. Read on.
For what son is he whom the father chasteneth not?
Right. So if you love your children, you're going to make sure they get the correction they need to grow. And that's what we need. And it's in the spirit. Why? Because if you think in this truth that you can see everything about yourself, you're crazy. That's why we have to be around believers. That's why a lot of brothers and sisters that learn online, they're not going to grow because they have no one to deal with them on a level where they can't see. It's very important. Read on.
Verse 8. But if ye be without chastisement.
So if you are not getting corrected.
Whereof all are partakers.
Wait, say it again. Hold on.
Whereof all are partakers.
So all are going to have to go through it. Why? Because the Lord is dealing with you. Read on.
Then are ye bastards.
What does then mean? That is a stipulation. After you go through that, wait, read it again. I might have get that wrong. Read it again.
Whereof, but if ye be without chastisement.
So if you're without chastisement, so if you're with chastisement, the Lord said he's dealing with you. If you're without chastisement, right? Read on.
Whereof all are partakers.
So, okay, so I'll read on.
Then are ye bastards and not sons.
So if we do not get corrected, the milk of correction, guess what? You a bastard. What does that mean if you a bastard? You don't have a father. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. He's our God. He's going to send up men to help us and make us grow. And we're going to get exhorted. It's not all about correction because it feels great when you get exhorted, right? You hear your name, right? All praise to the Lord. Like Officer Elisha. That brother's putting in great work. He does a lot of work behind the scenes. He's worthy of praise. He's worthy of bringing his name up in front of the whole body. Well, it's small right now, but huge later on. But the point is, I'm going to say that man's name, but at the same time, if there's a tech problem, he's going to take some chastisement. And guess what? That's why Atlanta's tech team is top notch, because they can take the praise along with the correction. I'm using it as an example because you got tech team. You understand? Are any lardbacks over there? Anyways, so it's the same thing with you as yourself. You are that package, and you gotta be able to take the praise, because nothing feel better than a brother saying your name, giving you credit. Feel good. Hey, so and so, this did this brother did this sister did this sister bread tastes so good. She sold 5 garments in 2 hours. The long, my wife tell me, you got the big long dresses. They take a lot longer to fringe than a little one. It's a lot more feet of border blue. And so she want that name. And her sister did a great job with the fringe. But then something happened. She get corrected. Now all of a sudden she want to leave because she got corrected. It make no sense. Right? Read on.
Verse 9. Furthermore, we have had fathers of our flesh which corrected us.
Now he gonna go back to with all of you. You should have examples, or if you didn't grow up without a father, you may have other examples with which you were corrected by people who are in your literal household family, whether you adopted or your biological family, where you have received correction in the flesh. Does that mean you hate them? You done skip school and you in the 3rd grade, you whatever you did, you got your tail whooped. You hate your father now? No, that's a carnal example. And all of you know that this is a review. But we need to hear it again, and then next year again, and then next month again. Why? Because in the spirit where we were reborn again. You're not 47 years old, man. You're not 55 years old. You 3 in the spirit. And something that it does take a deadening of that old man, of that old woman. Read on.
And we gave them reverence.
So we gave them reverence, right? So we have to give reverence to who? To our fathers who are now in the spirit, right? Our father figures, our uncle figures, our big brothers who are set up, and they have titles that God set up in the scriptures. Bishops, deacons, captains, officers that help us and correct us and exhort us at the same time. We almost done. I know y'all want to get up and walk around. Read on.
Shall we not much rather be in subjection unto the Father of spirits and live?
And that's talking about God. The Father of spirits is the Most High. And how do we get correction from the Most? He don't come down to the earth. He did it in the past. Now it comes through men. And if we reverence our fathers in the flesh before, when we got corrected in the world, how much more so, pardon me, than now in the spirit. And the reason why I'm saying I don't care about the cameras. I'm talking to y'all in this room right now. I'm telling you, man, y'all got to be ready for it. And it doesn't matter how young or old you are, because we are building. Remember that quote earlier? Ask not what. The quote was from JFK. He said, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." The spiritual understanding is, ask not what the nation of Israel can do for you. What can you do for the nation? Let me give you an example. We need more veterinarians, doctors, chiropractors. Shout out to Doc, chiropractor, right in the body. We need more medical doctors, mechanics. We need more people to help make the nation grow. CPAs, certified public accountants. We need more. We need you brothers to get these jobs that the nation needs. Go and get a degree in fashion design. Okay, great. If you're going to be a designer, what does the nation need? Well, how can I better my people? Why? Getting a job that will allow you to have the flexibility when you get the call or you make yourself available. You can go where? To a different country. Go help build. And you've been raised up around these great men of God who have given you exhortation and correction, and others in different parts, they have not had that privilege. And you have to help them. You've got to teach them the things that you've learned. And it starts with now in the foundation, in the beginning years. Okay? And those of us who have been in this for a while, we have to remember that we must be humble. We got to go back to the days when we were so on fire for this truth. Remember, damn, I got to examine myself, man. I'm not getting this part right. And sometimes if you can't get it right with if you can't get it right with self-reflection, then you need the what? I wanted someone to say bars. Correction. Get it? Rhymes? Y'all are horrible. Read it again. Hey, Deacon Asaph, the master of that. You know what I mean? I try to be like him. Read on.
For they verily for a few days chasteneth us after their own pleasure.
Right, their own pleasure. Because they discipline you based upon, okay, I'm going to ground this dude. He's going to get a spanking. You take your phone away for a month. You're not leaving. You're not going outside the house for 2 weeks straight. And the kid thinks it's the end of the world. That was his pleasure, what he thought was right. Now the Lord, the Father of spirits, tells us what we need to do. And he sets up exhortation as well as judgment and correction to who? The men of the Lord that he assigned. You got to understand that. Read on.
But he for our profit, that we might be partakers of his holiness.
Partakers of what? And what do we want to partake in? Obviously, it's redundant. You know the answer. What do we want to partake in? We want Isaiah 14, verse 2. We want to see the servants serve us. We want to be those rulers who rule over a city. Give me that one that says, they delight in scepters and thrones. It's in Sirach, one of my favorite scriptures. Or maybe it's Wisdom of Solomon. I don't remember. Because if you can endure the milk of correction and use the milk for malice, you're going to get this. And a lot of you brothers, I'm telling you, I don't know if you ever, who remembers, any of you brothers remember rappers from the 80s? Anybody rappers from the 80s? EPMD, remember them? Eric B. and Rakim, remember them? What was one theme that all of them had? They had one theme, and it's aesthetic. They had one theme they all had. They all carried themselves like ruler. Rick the Ruler, right? Rakim. If you notice how during that time when we came out of civil rights, after the disco era, we really realized, we like brothers saw themselves as kings. Rick the Ruler, Eric B., Big Four. I mean, yeah, I get it wasn't super, like, a lot of arrows, that's not real gold, whatever. But we carried ourselves during the early stages of rap like we was princes and kings. And we believed it too. It was done not in righteousness because we did things that was wrong. And the point is, I'm saying that so we can relate to it, right? We want to rule. One of my favorite scenes is there's a movie called, remember the Conan? The end scene, his place was called Crom. Remember that? You nobody seen Conan the Barbarian? Well, anyways, at the end of the scene, what do they show him? What they show him? He's sitting on a throne, right? And the words go telling his legacy, right? And he's a ruler. What did he start as? They destroyed his village and they locked him up and they made him become a slave, right? That's why it's symbolic. That's why I like that movie. A lot of us like that movie. We don't know why. Because it symbolizes Israel. And now we're going to be rulers. So read that scripture, please.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6, verse 21.
I got to get better at that. Wisdom of Solomon, 6 and 21.
If your delight be if your delight be then in thrones and scepters.
Hold up, because I'm going to tell you something. If there's the first word of this scripture is you have an option. Read it again.
If.
Read it again.
If.
And one more time.
If.
Listen, if you brothers up in here, there should be no ifs about it. All of you, who's ever heard of a brother named Robert Smalls? You ever heard of Robert Smalls? Robert Smalls was a slave who stole a Southern Confederacy ship and rode it up all the way up the coast and picked up his family and made it all the way to the north and became a great, powerful black man in this country. Changed things to a certain degree. Who's ever heard of a brother named Anthony Crawford? Anthony Crawford was a black man that owned 427 acres in the late 1800s and early 1900s and was lynched for his land. We don't forget those things. So when you hear this scripture, if you want to get this, what we're about to talk about, you must deal with the malice in you. We must not run from the milk of correction. You understand that? I hope you. This is how the Spirit works, right? Brother plan a class. I'm gonna go to this scripture. I'm gonna go to this scripture, and this is out the window. We got a couple basic scriptures, and as the Spirit give it, we gonna. And y'all needed to hear this. Some of you in here right now is struggling with that right now. You thinking about leaving? Something happened. Somebody says something to you. It's always on this side, and now you got a problem. And you think that you are a victim, and nobody understands. Come on, man. Read.
If your delight be then in thrones and scepters.
So delight is what? Joy. Your compassion. What? Your vindication. If your what?
If your delight
Delight.
be then in thrones and scepters.
What is a throne? It's something that a king or a prince sits on of noteworthy position, higher than others. In which a king on a throne does what? Rules and gives what? Orders and edicts. That's why you have such a hard time with Esau in your job, because you already know you're above him. Even before this truth, you know you above this guy. And you just cringe when you get told to do something. You know that you could do it better. You know you could command better. And all of us go through that. Unless it's something, unless you a damn straight up sellout in the world, and but the average black man, even the world, he understands that. Okay? Read it again.
If your delight be then in thrones and scepters.
If your delight be in thrones and scepters. What is a scepter? This is a review. All of you have heard this before. You're going to hear it again. What is a scepter? It is a staff of what? Right, I can go to a doggone geriatric clinic and get me a scepter. It's a damn cane. A scepter is something very important. It is a ruler's. It is the thing that he points with. It is the thing that he commands with. He sits down and he uses to support, and it lets everybody know that's the guy right there. In the 144, the 12 tribes of Israel, we are going to rule in a day, but we're not going to, and all that's right don't mean a damn thing until we fix our malice, until we're ready to receive that correction that's going to come. Because that means the Lord dealing with you. That means the Lord dealing with me. And it's not, and guess what? It's not easy. Because it said if you endure chastening, you got to go through it. And it don't feel great. A lot of you're like, well, everything's Irie. Well, as you're going to find out, you have to go through things. You must go through things. Read.
O ye kings of the people, honor wisdom.
O ye kings of the people. We are going to be kings of the people. And we're going to rule righteously with the laws of God. Remember, matter of fact, give me 1 Peter chapter 1, last verse. Because we're going to rule our kingdom. We're going to be kings under a king. And we're going to rule our kingdom righteously with this.
1 Peter chapter 1, verse 25.
Listen good.
But the word of the Lord endureth forever.
How long?
Forever.
The word of the Lord endureth forever. That's what we're going to rule with. Dictate. Give edicts with the word of the Lord. And we're going to be those kings. And we're going to have people serve us. And the wronging of things will be turned upside down. So all the anger that you see, you want to reconnect, go watch Roots. Go watch 12 Years a Slave. And actually, don't close your eyes. Don't walk out the room. Keep your eyes open the whole damn time and watch. Will Smith, the new one. What's that called? The new one. That's a good movie. Because a lot of you know what? When I watch it, I swear, I get angry. I start, move, go your ass, get on. You ever do that? You start talking to the screen? Because that's you. Remember when a dog, you let the dog get like 3 inches from his face? That was me. That was you that was happening to. He had to fight the alligator, right? That was you that happened to. That's our history. So we want that to go away. We want to fight and get through that. You better learn to take that milk, brother. You better learn to take that correction because it's something. Wait, read it again.
But the word of the Lord endureth forever.
The words of the Most High endures forever. That means in the kingdom, the word is going to be there. And we're going to rule. We're going to rule with that. Read on.
And this is the word which by the gospel is preached unto you.
And that's the good news, brothers. That's the good news. Get me Proverbs chapter 1, verse 2. I got it. Not too much longer, y'all. And listen, what is the time that I need to stop? 2:30? Okay, read on.
Proverbs chapter 1, verse 2. To know wisdom and instructions, to perceive the words of understanding.
So to know wisdom and instruction, brothers, how do we prove what wisdom is? All of you should know it. How do you prove what wisdom is? Nobody has a precept. Psalms 111 verse 10 is another one. How about Deuteronomy? This is your wisdom in the sight of the nations. Right? Come on, y'all got to be better than that. You're supposed to have these down. Read it again.
To know wisdom and instruction.
To know wisdom and instruction. How you going to learn that? You're going to learn that sitting right here. You're going to learn that when you step out the Spirit, put in a class on. By the way, a class that I always talk about that all of you probably have seen at least once is the 3 trials of faith. Those of you who are single brothers getting ready to become, perhaps prove a woman or a sister, prove a brother, you're going to have trials in that. Those of you who are married, you're going to have trials in your marriages. Those of you are going to have trials in the congregation. Y'all need to go watch that before you get up and run up out of here like an emotional basket case. Watch the 3 trials of faith. Get something from it. Read on.
To perceive the words of understanding.
Come on.
To receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment, and equity.
How do you receive? Wait, read it again.
To
please.
receive the instruction of wisdom.
How do I receive, as an Israelite in this? How do I receive? One more time.
To receive the instruction of wisdom.
To receive the instruction of wisdom. Come on.
Justice.
Justice.
And judgment. And equity.
Right, stop. How do I receive the instruction of judgment? Justice. What was the other one?
Wisdom.
Wisdom. How do I receive that? Correction, study, all that's true. And it's going to happen here through men. You're going to receive these things here. Yeah, I'm just, y'all, this is for y'all. Read on. And for me, and it's also for all of us who sit in the position of a leader, because why? We have to have a humble spirit. Just as our king had while he was here. Read on.
Verse 4. To give subtlety to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion.
How you going to learn discretion if you not learn to be indiscreet? If I cannot discriminate certain things and I cannot see where I'm wrong, how would I learn the discretion to teach others if I have not gone through a trial and been corrected from that lesson? This is why correction is important. This is why, just like we love exhortation, we love that praise. Officer so-and-so is the best. He's the best reader. This sister make the best bread. She is a great artist, super singer. You love that. I love that. But the correction come, we don't like that. Nobody likes it. Name one kid, name one of your children that like to get a spanking and get their tail whooped. Name one. Not one of them like it. If they are, there's something else wrong with them. And we hope that, hope that's not the case. Read on.
Verse 5. A wise man will hear and will increase learning.
So a wise man, you're going to hear? You're going to hear? Okay, you know what? This class is for me to examine the things I have malice in me. And because I have that in me, I'm going to work to correct that. Why? Because I understand this is a marathon. I understand that we trying to get up to a place of rulership and not correction. There I go. Rulership and power and authority. And we need to go through correction. I'm trying to manage my time. I don't want to go. Read on.
A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels.
And that's the point. Here's the next part. You are going to attain unto wise counsels. And in those counsels, guess what happens in counsels? Correction, exhortation, judgment, planning. You might be around the elders and something might come up about something about maybe you changing your job, or maybe you want something that's major. And in that godly counsel, it's been established of what should do or not do. Or it may be you are looking to whatever, start a business. And you might bring it up, and then someone in that group of godly men has experience and can relate that story that can help you. And that's why you should look to go at the feet of your elders and to learn. Read on.
You want to jump down or keep going?
Yeah, I want you to jump down, please.
All right, jump down to verse 23.
Yes.
Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you.
So the words that will be made in a council is what? Is the parables of the elders. They're going to come up with a plan or something to help you or correct you. Okay, and that's something that, again, we want to grow in this truth. All right, read on.
Verse 25. But ye have set at naught all my counsel.
So I'm going to skip that in the interest of time. Get me Proverbs 3 and 11.
Proverbs chapter 3, verse 11. My son, despise not the chastening.
Stop. Hold Proverbs 3 and 11. Get me Sirach 25, verse 4 and 5. And then we're going to get Proverbs chapter 3, verse 11.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 24. And verse 1 again?
Sirach 25.
25, verse 1.
Your name is Sirach, brother. Come on, man. Nah, I'm messing.
Verse 1. In three things I was beautified and stood up beautiful both before God and men.
I want verse 4 and 5, and then we'll jump to 1.
Okay, verse 4. Oh, how comely a thing is judgment for gray hairs.
Stop, read again.
Oh, how comely a thing is judgment for gray hairs.
Oh, how beautiful it is for judgment of men of gray hairs. What is that talking about? The men of experience. Because are all men with gray hairs, are they wise? Because there's a scripture in Job that talks about that, right? Remember it says great men are not always wise. And the great men usually are the older men. And the aged men does not always understand judgment. This is talking about men who have experience, who are in a position, okay? And that's what this is taught. Read it again.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 25, verse 4. Oh, how comely a thing is judgment for gray hairs.
Come on.
And for ancient men to know counsel.
The ancient men to know counsel. These are men that are godly who have experience. Read on.
Oh, how comely is the wisdom of old men.
Oh, how comely is the wisdom of old men. Read on.
And understanding and counsel to men of honor.
And counsel to men of honor. So counsel comes from the wisdom and experience of the men that God has set up over you. And I'm not saying you have the wisdom to move in society, because you're not going to have your elders with you all day. I'm not saying it, because you know how to move. You know, if somebody says some slick stuff to you at the job, hey, let me rule my spirit. You using the law. Let me rule my spirit. Let me not, he just disrespected me. You know, let me handle this with the pen. Hey, if I'm going to go out, hey, look, man, you said something earlier. Instead of going up and cussing at the guy. You know how to use wisdom in your daily walk. But this is talking about counsel and getting experience from who? From the men that God set up. This is what this is going into. Read on.
Verse 6. Much experience is the crown of old men.
Much experience is the crown of old men. What is a crown? Think about a crown. A crown represents what? Rulership. So these are the kings of the people. Their advice is righteous ruling advice. Why? Because they're building a nation of kings and priests. And there's a government that's being built right here on this earth. And all you got to do is look around. Pay attention. Look around you. And this is nothing, man. We go into, it's a good visual. I like that. Okay, read on.
And the fear of God is their glory.
Now go up to verse 1.
Verse 1. In 3 things I was beautified and stood up beautiful both before God and men.
So hold up. So my question is this. How were these men of gray hairs, how were they able to stand up? How were they able to? Think about it. The answer's in the scripture. Read it again.
In 3 things I was beautified and stood up beautiful both before God and men. The unity of brethren.
So these leaders that have earned the right and stood up, they have been the men to unify the brotherhood. Read on.
The love of neighbors.
And they have taught us to forgive one another, to love one another according to the laws of God, to create marriages based upon biblical love, not no emotion and lust. These leaders, this is how you know that the leaders in 4 and 5 are what it's talking about. Look around you. This is how you know. I'm just letting you know. You in the right place. I'm just letting y'all know that. Read it again.
The unity of brethren.
The unity. These leaders in verse 4 and 5, they're going to unify the brothers. Read on.
The love of neighbors.
They're going to teach us to love each other as the 12 tribes, to create marriages. Okay, nothing better to see when we go out as a congregation to the movies, or if we go somewhere like to the museums. You see the women go to the museums, and you see them dressed wonderfully, modest approach. You see the brothers get together with our garments. We might go see a movie. To the world, we are a strange thing. We are standing up beautifully. They don't understand it, but they know there's something very special about that. These elders are going to create that on the earth. And we're standing up. Read it again.
The unity of brethren.
They're going to bring the brothers together.
The love of neighbors.
They're going to teach us to love each other according to the law. Read on.
A man and a wife that agree together.
And they're going to teach us, make sure you prove that, sister, brother. Make sure you prove that, brother, sister, before you make the ultimate commitment. Right. Investment. Read on.
Verse 2.
Don't worry, we're almost done. This attention span of Israel is about maybe 2.5, 3 hours. Read on.
Verse 2. 3 sorts of men my soul hated.
Nah, we don't want to get that. We're done with that. So we figured that out. Go to, I can finish this up. So let's go to Sirach chapter, no, I wanted Proverbs. Did I tell you Proverbs?
Proverbs 3.
Please.
Proverbs chapter 3, verse 11. My son, despise not the chastening of the Lord.
So, read it again. Let me slow down.
My son, despise not the chastening of the Lord.
The chastening of the Lord came in the time of Moses through how? Brothers, how did the chastening come during the time of Moses? The Lord would do things to Israel. What was the judgment for the golden calf? What happened? How did he destroy us? Open up the earth and we fell in. He closed it on. He didn't just open. You ever seen an earthquake? The earth opens up, right? You ever see the earth close? He opened the earth and so here you are, you falling. You might hit the bottom. Okay, I just got a broken bone. And then the Lord closed it back on you. Think about the king of terrors. Why did I go there? Because the Lord ain't nothing to play with. Read it again.
My son, Despise not the chastening of the Lord.
Now, the chastening today comes from correction. It comes through somebody might tell you something that you need to hear, that God wanted you to hear, and you got a problem with it because you didn't like their tone of voice. I don't like how she told me that. Doesn't she know that I am 33 and a half years old? I own my own business, and I've been paid my car off 3 years ago. So what? Okay? It's good that you paid your car off. Read on.
Neither be weary of his correction.
Read it again.
Neither be weary of his correction.
Neither be weary of his correction. His correction comes through brothers, comes through the men of the Lord that was set up. We read in Sirach 25. They're the ones that's going to bring the brothers together. They're the ones that are going to teach each other to love one another. They're the ones that are going to build strong marriages. I'm just showing you, y'all in the right place. And when correction comes to you brothers and you sisters, listen, stay in the spirit. Stay in the spirit. Don't get all bugged out. You say, well, I know that. Well, some of you ain't been corrected. You're going to find out. And some of the correction comes from, it may not have to come, let me take it. It may not always come from men. Some correction could be, you are 163 pounds overweight, bro. I've been telling you for 4 years to lose the weight. You don't listen. You keep pounding down the 2 for $5s at Burger King, eating all the fast food, being a big, disgusting jalopy, fat back, lard ass. I can't control it. I got to say it. You did all of that. Guess what? After 4 years of warning, then you have a coronary bypass. You know what that is? I want all of you, what's the number one killer of black men? What is the number one killer of black men in this country? You know what it is? It is heart disease, which can lead to, a myriad of things. Here's the deal. You know that, and this is an example because everybody can control this, right? You pretty much, for the most part, can control the things you put in your body, right? Right? And then the judgment could come from a heart attack. Sir, Mr. Jenkins, come in my white lab coat. Mr. Jenkins, I just wanted to let you know that you have diabetes too, and we're going to have to put you on these 4 medications. We're going to start them today, and they're giving you medications that you cannot pronounce the words, let alone in the ingredients. You can't pronounce the name of the doggone drug. And you read the side effects, and you realize the side effects could cause worse damage. That's an example. Brother, stop watching the pornography. You keep. Then guess what happened? It leads to you going out to a massage parlor. Or it leads to you going out and having sex with that OnlyFans. Or whatever it is. I don't know what it is today. Whatever it is. And the judgment comes when you get an ST to the D. Or a jealous boyfriend. Broke up with her 3 years ago. And he happened to see you with her. So the judgment can come. That's why you got to follow counsel. What you struggle with, you should have a counselor. Well, what does the scripture say, brothers, about what you should do to get a counselor? Or what's the ratio? Raise your hand if you actually study in here. Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you actually study. All right, you guys, you got to study more. You got to get your foundation. The counsel that you should seek, it tells us we should have 1 in 1,000. You don't come in this truth and start telling everybody your problems. When I was 7 years old, my mother left me in the mall by myself. People don't need to know that stuff. Okay? Or some of the sisters, they went through some abuse, and now they're 46 and a half years old, and something happened that was 3 years old, and they just, it is hard to get over. I understand that. My point is that who you confide in for counsel should be 1 in 1,000. Meaning, does that mean, because I don't even know 1,000 people. So it's an arbitrary number telling you, don't make everybody your counselor. That's what it's saying. Find out someone that you trust and let them be your counselor. Right? And don't counsel. Here you've been in truth for 12 years, and you're going to counsel with a brother who's been in truth for 2 months about spiritual things. You dumb as a bag of bricks. Okay, read on.
Verse 12. For whom the Lord loveth, he correcteth.
See, correction is the same thing as chastise. Read on.
Even as a father, the son in whom he delighteth.
Right, that we read all about that in Hebrews. We read about that, how we reverence for the fathers of the flesh and what they did. How much so more for the spiritual, the elders who are our spiritual fathers. Read on.
Happy is the man that findeth wisdom.
Read it again.
Happy is the man that findeth wisdom.
So when we read verse 13, did the thought change? Read 11 down to 13, and then I'm going to close out right after this.
Verse 11, Proverbs 3 and 11. My son, despise not the chastening of the Lord.
So the thought is, now my son is talking from a perspective of a father and a son, because that's the relationship with Israel, right? Israel, my son. So it is talking about the relationship between a father and a son, but it's also talking about the relationship between God the Father and the nation of Israel, which we are all part of. Read on.
Neither be weary of his correction.
Neither be weary of his correction. Now we know we can get correction from our spiritual fathers here, who could be through a tongue, do this, do this, do that, right? And our physical fathers in the world, it could be a spanking. You're grounded. God is going to give us the correction that we need to grow. Read on.
For whom the Lord loveth, he correcteth. Even as a father, the son in whom he delighteth.
Even as the father and the son who did. That means when you're getting corrected, the father, because you know what the hardest, you fathers here, right? When you got to really deal with your son at a level, you know that you have to keep a face that's stone, right? But you also know that inside, sometimes you don't want to do it, but you got to do it, right? And if you don't do it, guess what? Somebody else going to do it. So you got to do it. And at the same time, when you see the desired effect from that behavior that you was trying to correct, guess what? It make you happy as a father. So that's what God's trying. He want to be. God is happy to correct us, because when He's looking for the ultimate result, which is what? Us repenting, because He's preparing the way for us. Read on.
Verse 13. Happy is the man that findeth wisdom, and the man that getteth understanding. So
the wisdom and understanding, if we read above, is talking about the wisdom and understanding that we receive from what? Correction. The correction that we get from who? God sets us up through men. Read on.
Verse 14.
All right, that's it on that. Got me, Sirach chapter 5, verse 1 and 2. And then we're going to go to two more scriptures and we're going to wrap it up.
Sirach chapter 5, verse 1.
I'm sorry, Ecclesiastes right after Proverbs.
Okay.
A good way to remember, y'all, the difference between Ecclesiasticus is the AKA Sirach, or Ecclesiastes, it's always right after the book of Proverbs. It's a quick way to find it, all right?
Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 1.
Go ahead.
Keep thy foot when thou goest into the house of God.
Keep your foot. Does that mean when you walk into the house of God, you hold on to your 10 toes? You grab your foot? No, it's not talking about that. It means watch your step, man. Okay, humble yourself. Read on.
And be more ready to hear.
Stop talking so doggone much. Who remember that song by Run DMC? I used to have that tape back in like 83. You ever heard that song? You talk too much and then you never shut. You never heard that song? Run DMC. Anyways, I think he's a fake pastor now, whatever, but the point is, even in the world, just shut up. Stop talking so doggone much. Here you are, you and getting elders going to help build you, and you saying you talking twice as much as the person that God set up to help you. Read it again.
And be more ready to hear.
So have an ear to hear. Have an ear to listen, to take that counsel in. And guess what? It's hard to have an ear to hear when what you're hearing, the old man don't like, or the old woman don't like. So what? Read on.
Be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools.
We almost done. You're going to walk around soon. To give a sacrifice of fools, because a fool don't know when to stop talking. We have to know that. We have to be able to examine our spirit to know when it's time to stop talking. It's time to listen. It's time to listen. Read on.
For they consider not that they do evil.
Because why? You're going to say things that is not in line with the creature that God is trying to reborn, or the man that God is trying to renew, the spiritual, what's the word we said before? Being born again. You got to be like that baby in the spirit. Yeah, I know it sounds, no, we got to, in malice, in our old man thought, we have to literally flip the switch to say, you know what, let me humble my spirit down. I know I want to talk. I know I'm an adult. I know I have responsibility. I know I have a car payment. I have bills, a water bill, a light bill. I have children of my own. And who does he or who does she think? No, because this is a different type of correction. This is something that God needs you to get. And this is where you have to become like that little child when it comes to this. Because, again, it goes back to this, right? For example, right? The little kid get the award at school. Mommy say, okay, all right, he got an A+ in this one class. Okay, we're going to bring you out to your favorite restaurant. You get whatever you want on the menu. That kid never had nothing to say but, thank you, mama. I appreciate you. Blah, blah, blah. Daddy, thank you, right? But now, the same that cared for you, gave you all that, now it's time for the correction. So, okay, if you're going to be that way, then speak up when you get an award too. No, I don't want that. You're not going to give me that. Then you would at least you be consistent with your illogic thought mind. Okay? Read on.
Verse 2. Be not rash with thy mouth.
So stop talking so much and watch what the heck you say. Read.
And let not thine heart be hasty to utter anything before God.
And that's what Christians do. You hear on the street all the time. Well, I believe. Well, you believe a lie. Everything that we learned. I asked before, how many of you came in the truth when you was 30 or older? Most of you raise your hand. So, including myself. So what we learned in this country with all the holidays, all the things that 50-50, all of that a man is can do what he wants as long as he pays his bills, all the things that you learned, you got to put that off. And that will make the old man be rash with his mouth and say what he feel. Well, I believe this. We're not talking about the old man. Read it again.
Be not rash with thy mouth.
Don't be quick with your mouth. Read on.
And let not thine heart be hasty to utter anything before God.
Hasty means too quick. Stop being so quick to utter stuff. Why? Why did it say? Read it again?
Be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thine heart be hasty.
Let not thy mind, the old man, the carnal man, the unborn babe, read on.
Be hasty to utter anything before God.
Hasty to utter anything before God. What does that mean? What does that mean? Utter anything before God. This may be hard. Utter anything before God. If you can think of it literal and you can think of it spiritual. The literal meaning would be this. You speaking, you think you're speaking to God, right? That's what these Christians have you believe. That's the literal meaning. That means you're talking to God, right? Like these Christians, I have a personal relationship with Jesus. But yet she chocolate skin, she got yellow hair, pants on, and she's listening to Juanita Bynum lead the congregation. You understand that? That's wrong. Okay? Read it again.
Be not rash with thy mouth.
Be not rash with thy mouth.
And let not thine heart be hasty to utter anything before God.
Let not thy heart be hasty to utter anything before God. What does that mean? Utter anything before God. Somebody say it out loud. That's true. That's true. But it says before God. Because what that's saying is, remember, all the scriptures we read, these are treat them, the elders, as fathers. They're the ones that God is using to give both the exhortation and the correction, and the milk for that matter. So when you got to watch what you say, because you're uttering things before God. God, he has order and structure set up. Okay? So you young brothers in the spirit who are sitting down, you sisters that are sitting down, just take this class that has been taught 1,000 times and take what you can from it and fix what you can, because you need it, I know I need it, and he need it, and he need it, and so on and so forth. We all need it. It don't matter how young or old you are, we all need it. Okay? Read on.
For God is in heaven, and thou upon earth.
God is in heaven, and thou upon earth. Last two scriptures we done. Proverbs 28:13 and Psalms 119 verse 9. And we are going to close out right before 2:30. All right?
Proverbs chapter 28 verse 13.
Come on.
He that covereth his sin shall not prosper.
So like that little kid, he covers up his wrong. He sweeps the glass up. If you cover up the things that are wrong with you, meaning, remember before we read in Corinthians, you understand the ingredients of things that make up you as that bread, and you got to take the malice out and lay it aside. You got to be able to identify the things that are wrong with you, label them, and now you got to do the next. Read the whole thing again.
He that covereth his sin shall not prosper.
If you cover up the things that's wrong with you, meaning you're not setting them aside, you're not identifying them, selecting them, pointing them out, taking them and taking them out, laying it aside, read.
But whoso confesseth and forsaketh them shall have mercy.
So you got to acknowledge, listen, this is what I battle with. I struggle with this. I'm wrong. This is what I'm in. And guess what? Now, after you confess it, what do you got to do, brothers? What that mean? I'm not patronizing you. I know you know the answer, but you need to keep hearing it. You got to stop. We got to stop. And this is the biggest thing on the street, where people will acknowledge, hey, we the Israelites, but they will not come out their sin. You all did that. You were willing to change and that's why you're sitting here. And ask 100 brothers on the street, 100 sisters, maybe one, maybe two, if you're lucky, even know they're the Israelites. So y'all very important people. Very important people. Read on.
To the Psalms 119.
Last scripture, we done.
All right. Psalms 119, verse 9.
Come on.
Wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his ways?
It's the same thing Paul was talking about. Take the leaven out. You are that bread. You have ingredients, and we need to get the bad ingredients out, which is our sin, and that is us cleansing ourselves. Read on.
By taking heed thereto, according to thy word.
And that's what Christ did in Matthew chapter 4, verse 4. Remember we read about that? He said, get behind me, Satan. And he starts to go into the scriptures on, he was tempted, his reputation was tempted, and he was tempted to use his power to get food so he could eat. You understand that? We have to cleanse our ways with the word of God. That's what Christ did. We're going to examine ourselves. We're going to fix it. We're going to make some improvements. And guess what? When correction comes, we're going to take it. And we're not going to get angry. We're going to deal with it. All right? So with that, Israel, look, I didn't look at the camera one time. I'm sorry, tech team. All praise to the Most High. I pray that you at home got something out of it. It was a review class, and that we all definitely change our ways and seek to improve and embrace correction when it comes. And always remember that we have to be reborn with the milk of the word.